My Life, The Road Less Taken by Joseph Frilot. Thinking back to early points of my life, I consider my K through 12 educational experience to be quite unique. I grew up in poverty. Neither of my parents went to college and both were of the working lower classes. From kindergarten to second grade, I lived with my mother and two sisters in a two-bedroom apartment in Greenspoint, an impoverished neighborhood in North Houston with a heavy black and Latino population. To denote the high level of crime activity in the area, a lot of Houstonians have nicknamed it Guns Point. The elementary school I attended was mostly made up of Caucasian teachers and administrators, while the student population was mostly black and Latino. I remember being the kid with bad behavior. I was suspended from school several times a year. The elementary school I attended felt that my behavior was so horrific that I needed to be held back a grade. Going back, the thought that my behavior signified my academic ability seems kind of unfair. I can just imagine all of the black male kids that were held back from their true academic potential just because they were considered and told daily that they were bad students. I feel like my academic life could have gone down the road path and been marked by nothing but bad behavior and retention, but in the third grade, my life changed when my mom was sent to prison for shoplifting at the mall. Once that happened, my sisters and me went to stay with our dad in South Park, an impoverished but quite homogeneous community in southeast Houston that consisted mostly of older African Americans. Compared to Greenspoint, there weren't a lot of apartment complexes, and a lot of people lived in small houses that looked quite old. In the third grade, I was able to have a fresh new start at a new school. My reputation of being the bad kid did not follow me to my new school. I joined the band and was even put in the gifted and talented program. At that point in my life, I loved learning. Once I reached the seventh grade, we moved again to Northeast Houston with my dad and sisters. I attended a school called Kirby Middle School within the North Forest Independent School District. The community within the North Forest Independent School District, although impoverished, was quite mobilized and put together. The middle school I went to consisted mostly of African American and Latino students. The main focus from our teachers and administrators was passing the tax test. No longer did I feel like I was learning for the sake of learning. I felt like I was learning to pass a standardized test. My motivation for learning was not to enhance my education for the future, but to pass a test so that I'll be able to move to the next grade. Once I reached high school, my motivation for learning was still the same. Teachers focused strictly on passing tax. Students' only indicator of success was passing the X level standardized test in the 11th grade. Educational success was based on whether we passed the standardized test and graduated high school. Beyond passing the tax and graduating high school, there was no motivation for students to achieve academic success. Raymond Waskowski states that when students see what they are learning is important, their motivation emerges. It wasn't until I reached the ninth grade and met a wonderful lady named Miss Fance that my motivation for learning completely changed. She was the college counselor in our high school who sought me out once she found out that I was the top student of my entire ninth grade cohort. She told me that once I reached the 11th grade to come see her because she was going to get me into college and make sure I have a lot of scholarship money. From that moment on, I no longer felt like I was learning to pass a test. I was learning to prepare myself for higher education. Although in the back of my mind I knew I was going to college, I held a complete deficit view of my school and surrounding community. We were constantly being told that the education we were receiving was not enough and that once we went into the real world, we will fail. Even as students in advanced placement, my peers and I felt ashamed of our school, and it led us to feeling ashamed of ourselves. My school district constantly was in the news because we were always on the verge of being shut down due to not meeting the academic standard that the state placed upon us. We constantly compared our schools to wealthier schools and felt as though we wouldn't be able to compete with those students. In 2010, I graduated valedictorian of my high school class. I received over $100,000 worth of scholarships from various organizations and schools across Texas and the United States. Even though I received all those accolades and was told constantly by others how smart I was and how I was destined to succeed, I still held a deficit view of myself and did not see myself as a worthy person to attend college. Hearing not only my peers but also my teachers and administrators repeat over and over how horrible our school was compared to other schools made me feel as though I was not prepared for higher education. According to statistics, I would be considered an anomaly. The road that I have taken shouldn't be the road less traveled by. Michelle Knight talks about the importance of creating a college-ready campus and that a true college-ready campus doesn't just wait until the student reaches junior year to start talking about college. Students should not be told that they are destined to work only trade skill jobs. They should be given various opportunities to succeed, not just the ones society has deemed practical or realistic for us. I feel as though if we start telling students about college as early as possible, like Miss Fancy did with me, then their motivation for learning will go beyond the scope of just passing an X-level test and getting a high school diploma. All students deserve the chance to succeed, and from my own personal experience, a lot of students aren't getting those chances.